In the previous video, we saw how entrepreneurship is a career and not the pursuit of a killer idea. And therefore, if you want to become an entrepreneur, you should start as soon as possible, like you would start any other career journey. In my MBA class at IIM Bangalore, most of my students tell me that they definitely want to start a venture sometime in their life. But when I ask them about when they want to start their venture, only half respond that they want to start up right away or immediately after college. A quarter say that they want to start up after 2 years of work experience, and the remaining quarter of the students say that they want to start up after 5 years of work experience or even later than that. Because I teach students who are currently in college, I ask them to list down the pros and cons of starting up now in college versus starting up later in life. The most common reason I get in favor of starting up later and not now is work experience. Students want to work for a few years to gain some industry knowledge and to learn how to manage people before starting up on their own. Many students are also concerned about their student loans and want to pay off their loans and accrue some seed capital before starting up. Some students express that they need time to find a startup idea, and a few years of working at a job will give them the time to think about a startup idea that they like. Others believe that they need co-founders to start up and they will find their co-founders amongst their colleagues at a job. Some want to enhance their network of advisors, supporters, and potential employees at a job before starting up. And some believe that if they start up after a few years of work experience, they will have more credibility for VCs to take a bet on them. All these reasons have a grain of truth. For example, work experience. Let us take the example of Larry Ellison, the founder of Oracle. Before he founded Oracle, he worked at a company called Ampex, where he developed a database for the CIA that he called Oracle. He later took the idea and started his own company in 1977. Or the example of Thomas Siebel. He was a sales leader at Oracle for 6 years, and while he was there, he proposed that the company should develop department-specific CRMs. But his proposal was rejected. He founded Siebel Systems to implement this idea. Siebel Systems was later acquired by Oracle for $6 billion in 2005. Another example is Mark Benioff. He worked at Oracle for 13 years and became a vice president. He then left Oracle to start Salesforce to build a cloud-based CRM, which was an improvement upon Oracle's on-premises systems. Another example is Tien Tzuo. He worked at Salesforce for 9 years and became CMO and Chief Strategy Officer. He then left Salesforce to start Zuora because he realized that subscription management was an emerging problem that Salesforce was not really solving. I'm sure you can find innumerable examples of this nature. Work experience can definitely be helpful in identifying opportunities, especially if you are looking for opportunities in the same field in which you are working. But there is another side to the argument that is not as well understood among my students. What you learn in a corporate job can be in conflict with what you need to learn as an entrepreneur. In a corporate job, you are usually expected to be a master of one field, whereas a successful entrepreneur is a jack of all trades, familiar with a broad range of functions, but usually a master of none. In a corporate job, someone else is responsible for creating structure in your life. You need to excel in a structured environment where the organization's vision, mission, and culture, as well as your own targets and career path, are set up for you by someone else. Whereas, as an entrepreneur, you need to learn how to set up this game yourself for others. In a corporate job, you have to learn how to manage your boss's expectations, which is a tough skill to master. While as an entrepreneur, you do not have a boss, so you need to learn how to manage your own time, which is an equally tough skill to master. In a corporate job, you have to learn how to fit into the organization's culture. Whereas, as an entrepreneur, you are often a misfit everywhere. You do not fit well into any peer group category. Most people you know may not fully understand your career trajectory. You will have to learn how to thrive despite not fitting well into any social group. So the overlap between what you learn at a corporate job and what you need to learn as an entrepreneur is small. And this overlap is primarily made up of three things: the industry knowledge that you get while working at a corporate job, learning how to manage people, and noticing problems to solve in your industry. And it is not necessary for you to work at a corporate job to get these three learnings. Young entrepreneurs who do not have a lot of industry knowledge frequently get industry experts as advisors or angel investors to bridge any knowledge gaps. Learning how to manage people is important, but it is possible to learn it on the go. Many people have. And finally, because ideas always evolve in an entrepreneur's journey, you don't need a very detailed idea to begin the process. So, working at a corporate job may not be as beneficial as you may have imagined. My final point for you here is that if you want to be an entrepreneur but are inclined to work at a job for a few years before starting up, you should really think through and articulate exactly what it is that you want to learn from your work experience and why you can't do without it. Because the learning that you will get at a job may not be useful at all in your entrepreneurial journey and can in fact leave you with bad habits that can actively hinder you from ever being able to start up. If you get used to working in a structured environment, you may find it very hard to work in the absolute chaos that your startup is likely to be at the very beginning. If you get used to getting a monthly paycheck, you may find it very hard to break that habit and start up in the first place. Let's look at the other points we listed out earlier: student loans, getting ideas, building a team or a network, and gaining credibility. Again, there is another side to these arguments which is not well understood among my students. Let's talk about personal finances. The counterpoint here is that when you are young and in college, you are used to an inexpensive lifestyle. You may not have kids to support or mortgage payments to make every month. This makes it easier to start up immediately after college compared to starting up a few years later. And the student loan that you may have taken for college? Well, most student loans either have a payment moratorium for the first year, or you can ask for a 1-year moratorium. And then if you raise seed venture capital within this time, you can take a near market salary and start paying your installments like you would in any other job. I have had many students who have done exactly this. And in 2021, seed capital for tech startups has become so abundant that this plan is becoming more and more practical for many young people around the world. Moving on to idea generation. The first obvious counterpoint is that ideas evolve. This brings us back to our earlier point that there is no such thing as a killer startup idea. All kickoff ideas are bad ideas. So waiting to get a great kickoff idea is not sensible. Secondly, when you are young and inexperienced, you do not have the baggage of knowing how things are usually done in the world. This makes you willing to try stupid things, things that experienced people would find ridiculous. And the irony is that most extreme startup successes are things that initially appeared stupid or ridiculous to people with real-world experience. Also, when you are young, you have brain plasticity on your side. You can learn faster than someone older. You can learn everything about an entire industry in a matter of weeks. But this ability to learn rapidly slowly decreases with age. It is also ridiculously easier to find co-founders when you are in college because you get a lot more creative time with your friends in college than you do later in life. And because no one's stuck in a job, you have the freedom to dream up things together. Moving on to your network of advisors, you can always find industry experts to become advisors, mentors, and angel investors in your startup. For these reasons, venture capital frequently bets on young people, sometimes even more so than it bets on people with experience. Although age is not an incredibly important parameter from a VC's point of view, if there is any bias, it is in favor of young people. So, if you are young, know that your youth is an asset. Do not waste it playing someone else's game. If your current circumstances are such that you must have a job and cannot take any risk whatsoever, but you still have the ambition to be an entrepreneur, figure out the exact amount you need in your bank account to start your journey. For example, you may decide that you need an amount equal to 18 months of expenses to leave your job and start up, 12 months to build a prototype and try to raise a seed investment that would allow you to draw a monthly salary, plus another 6 months to look for a job if you are unable to raise seed investment at all. You may come up with a different method to calculate your exact amount. But the important thing is that you must decide an exact amount so you can leave your job when you have this exact amount in your bank account. Because if you do not decide on an exact amount, you will find it hard to ever start your entrepreneurial journey. Finally, if you are not young, know that age is only one factor for success and not the most important factor. You may draw inspiration from Asa Candler of Coca-Cola, who started up at the age of 41 after being a pharmacist for most of his life, or Ray Kroc of McDonald's, who started up at the age of 53 after being a salesman for most of his life, or Herbert Boyer, founder of Genentech, who started up at the age of 40 after being an academician for most of his life, or John Warnock, founder of Adobe, who started up at the age of 42 after being a computer scientist for most of his life, or Thomas Siebel, who founded Siebel Systems at the age of 41 after working in software sales for most of his life. Next is a short video featuring Ritesh Banglani. Ritesh is a co-founder and partner at Stellaris Venture Partners, one of India's blue-chip VC firms. In the video, Ritesh articulates his views about the importance of a founder's age in entrepreneurship. Hey there, I'm KJ Saxena, founder of Relentless VC. The video you just watched is part of the Venture Capital and Entrepreneurship specialization, which is available absolutely for free on relentless.ventures. Go check it out. If you're a tech startup founder and want to raise money from us, you should apply on our website. Lastly, if you like this video, do subscribe and share it with your friends.